Good morning, everyone. So, welcome to the teaching science in the primary grades, particularly the biology and chemistry. So, I'm Ernie Avila, and I will be your instructor for this semester. So, as stipulated in your syllabus, the teaching science in the primary grades will have two series. One is for biology and chemistry, and the other one subject is for physics, earth, and space sciences. So for this semester, particularly the end of the the end of the first year or the second semester of your curriculum, you will have the teaching science in the primary grades or the biology and chemistry. And the next semester or the first semester of your second year, you will have the physics, the chemistry, the physics, the earth and space sciences. So for this subject area, we will have a series of lectures on the general biology concepts, and after that is intended to be finished on midterms, and then after midterms, we will be talking about chemistry. So all topics here are intended for you to develop the teaching competence and then the knowledge on the general biology and general chemistry that is specified or that can be used in teaching grades 4, 5, and 6 biology subjects. So to start with, we will be talking about the history of the biology first. So the study of biology started in 384 to 322 BC, after Aristotle started exploring the biology or the concept of life in his environment that time. So aside from that, Aristotle started to pioneer the study of animals or the zoology. And then he is the first one to classify living things. And then he divided the plants into herbs, shrubs, and trees and animals into either land, water, or air dwellers. So during his time, there is no separation, there is no taxonomy yet, or the science of classifying things. That is why he just divided the classification of, he just classified the animals into three, and then the plants into either herbs, shrubs, or trees. Ayon, that is the major contribution of Aristotle. Afterward, he was followed by Galen or Claudius Galen, who was born in 131 to 200 AD. So what is the major contribution of Galen? He is the physician who described the anatomy of human body based on dissection of apes and pigs. So he tried to understand the concepts of human body using the dissection process, of apes and pigs. So he tried to give a clear or a bigger picture of what is really within our body so that he can use that in treating his patients. Okay? And he showed that arteries carries blood. So before kasi, there is a notion na blood is everywhere and is not traveling in one in a certain organ or organ system. So because of that, he identified that the arteries carries blood. And he developed several errors. So however, the errors that he committed after he studied the human body using apes and pigs left unchallenged for years, for particularly 1,300 years. Okay? Afterward, the scientist who corrected Galen's teaching is Andrea Vesalius, who was born in 1514 to 1564. So Vesalius is the first one to study the actual human body, particularly a human body using by dissecting corpse. So, and he wrote the book, De Humani Corporus Fabrica. Okay? And because of that, Galen was considered as the father of human anatomy. So, after that, the study of blood followed, wherein in 1578 to 1657, William Harvey specialized in that area. So William Harvey is an English physician who said or who identified, who discovered that the heart pumps the blood and the blood circulates around the body. And because of that, he said he developed the idea that anatomy is the principle of the structure and function of the body, and that should be clearly studied so that we can relate what is really happening within our body. Ayon. And he gave an accurate account of mechanism of the circulatory system. So, ayon. So, what our knowledge about circulatory system, we can acknowledge that that William Harvey is the one who developed a concise or concrete idea about blood circulation. Okay? So, to give an example, this is a way on how Harvey explains blood circulation, wherein you can see in the illustration the several types or the different types of blood vessels. And then he says, he is pointing here what kind of blood is traveling in this kind of blood vessel and then the other kind of blood. Kasi meron tayong oxygenated and deoxygenated blood in this kind of blood vessel or in that kind of blood vessel. After William Harvey, it was followed by Marcello Malfigi. So, his scientific years includes 1628 to 1694. So, who is Malfigi? Si Malfigi is an Italian physician and anatomist who gave us the microscopic perspective of human body. When we say microscopic perspective, yung mga naonang scientists are the ones who gave us a bigger picture of our body, but Malfigi is the one who studied the what? Is the one who studied the closer look of a micro or minute parts of our body. So he discovered in 1661 the capillaries. So what is the capillary? This is the one that is missing in the Harvey's theory of blood circulation. Si Harvey kasi, yung sa theory of blood circulation niya, may problem doon kasi may missing item tayong nawawala. So, paano bumabalik yung yung blood? Or the lost fluid. So, that is now discovered by Malfigi. And then he observed the microscopic component of the liver, brain, kidney, spleen, bones, and the inner or what to be known as the Malfigian layer of the skin. So, yon. Kumuha siya ng mga sample, ng mga tissue and cells, and then he closely studied those organs under the microscope. And then he also discovered the red blood cell or the red blood corpuscles before na tinatawag natin. Okay? After that, it was followed by Anton van Leeuwenhoek or Leeuwenhoek. So si Anton Leeuwenhoek is a cloth merchant. When we say cloth merchant, ayun, nag-aano siya, nakikipag-barter siya that time of products. So, ang nangyari is, he was the first to use the microscope with great observational and descriptive skills. Yung mga naunang scientists, probably, they have utilized microscope, pero not in really a descriptive and observational skills. What happened with Leeuwenhoek is that his most important discovery were the microorganism. So when we say microorganism, it includes bacteria, single-celled organism that we are referring to right now as protozoa. And he also studied the sperm cell. And then Carolus Linnaeus is the person who was born in 1707 to 1778, and this scientist is known as the father of taxonomy. So what is taxonomy? As a father of taxonomy, he was the proponent of the binomial nomenclature. When we say binomial nomenclature, ito yung way on writing scientific names of the organism. So meron tayong genus and species. So the first word is the genus, and then the other one is the species. And because of that, he was able to classify and organize plants and the animals. Eventually, Gregorio Johann Mendel, who was born in 1822 to 1884, developed the study of genetics, or served as the proponent of genetics. So, nung meron sa genetics, Gregorio Johann Mendel studied cow pee or garden pee. And then he developed the principles of heredity, meaning he closely studied how one factor coming from the parent can be developed or can be observed in its offsprings or mga anak. So here, he studied the variation and heredity of 7 pairs of inherited characteristic in pea plant. So nagtanim siya ng pea plants, and then tinignan niya yung characteristic when he combined one characteristic of that plant to another characteristic. Okay, example, kung color yellow yung flower nung pea plant, and then pig cross niya or pig breed niya ito, or pig join niya yung genetic characteristic of that, or pig crossbreed niya, in a simpler term, pig crossbreed niya yung yellow flowered pea to a white flower, what will be the observation of the offspring? Ano yung mangyayari dun sa magiging offspring nun? Ilan kayo magde-develop ng white flower? Ilan kayo magde-develop ng yellow flower? Ayan. So, that is why, even at this point, his ideas on the genetics are still undebatable. Okay? After Carolus Linnaeus, after Gregorio Johann Mendel, we have Charles Darwin. So this is one of the most controversial scientists, wherein Charles Darwin is the scientist who studied the history of the biology. Kasi meron na tayong biology that time Inaral na natin yung lahat nagsisimula ng pag-aralan nun yung mga living organism, even the not available ng living organism. And then here comes Charles Darwin, who wants to study the history or the origin of life. So he wrote The Origin of Species in 1859, and he presented there in his book The Theory of Evolution by Natural Selection. So, ano nangyari sa Theory of Evolution by Natural Selection? Sinabi niya dito sa book niya, kaya maraming nagalit sa kanya, that man came from apes or human-like organism. At tayo, yung mga tao that time were very religious, and they don't like to be called or they don't like to know or to have an idea that they originated from apes. Okay? And his work provided unifying organizing framework for the field of biology. So, inayos na ni Charles Darwin yung pag-aaral ng biology because of that. Okay? So, now, what is the meaning of biology? So, when we say biology, this is the study of life. So, sa subject na to, tuturuan niyo yung mga bata to appreciate the value of life. Wherein, from the conception up to the death, dapat na-appreciate siya ng tao or ng magiging estudyante niyo in the near future. So here, biologists recognize that all living organisms share certain characteristics. So those certain characteristics, again, those certain characteristics can be observed in any living organism. And we will be talking about it in the next slides. So the first characteristic of all living organisms is they are having cellular structure and function. So when we say cellular structure and function, meron ditong component, merong component ang living organism na similar all throughout other forms of living organism. So here, sabi dito, all living things are made up of one or more cells. What does it mean? May mga organism na isang cell lang yung katawan nila o yung bumubuo sa katawan nila and they are already living. While some are having millions, thousands, hundred cells within its system or within their entire or exact unit. That is why binubuo pa rin ang lahat ng organism ng cell. And then cell is considered as the smallest unit of life. So they are capable of functioning functioning to survive. So yon. Another characteristic of life is the reproduction. When we say reproduction, we all know about this. This is the process of making once more of one's own kind. So, ang rocks ba ay living organism? No, ang sagot ng bata. Pero some children might answer yes kasi they can say based on their experience that the rocks are can able to produce one's own kind. Pero they don't realize na hindi kaparehas nyo ng itsura. Pero nangyari, it's either nagkaroon lang ng breaking of the particles due to weathering, mechanical damaging to the rocks that breaks down its component, ganon. Kaya nakikita nila, dumami yung rocks. Pero in reality, they are not reproducing or they do not undergo or that thing didn't undergo reproduction. So, no organism lives forever. That is why it is necessary to reproduce. So, mamamatay at mamamatay yung organism na yon. So, kung hindi siya makareproduce, what will happen? Okay? So, magiging extinct yung kanilang lahi. That is why our scientists right now are trying their best to at least breed more of the extinct species for them not to be totally eradicated from the list of animals or plants in our planet. Next characteristic is metabolism. So here, this is a sum of all chemical reaction. When we say sum of all chemical reaction, yung lahat ng nangyayari sa katawan ng isang organism, ang tawag natin doon ay metabolism. And metabolism starts from the sun because of photosynthesis, wherein the plant convert the solar energy into sugar, and then the sugar is being consumed by animals, and then they store it in their own tissues as a source of energy. Next is homeostasis. This is the maintenance of stable internal conditions. So, ngayon, dito sa maintenance of stable internal conditions, ang nangyayari dito is that minamaintain ng katawan natin yung conditions niya kahit nagkakaroon ng external stimulus or stimuli. So example, nilalamig ka. What your body will do is it will try to produce extra heat for your body to counteract the effect of the sudden change in the temperature. Okay? Halimbawa, sobrang init naman. Your body will now produce sweat in order for your skin to cool down. And of course, the temperature will be reduced. Your body temperature will be reduced. That is an example of homeostasis. Nauuhaw ka. Remember, 1% lang ata. May nabasa ako na 1% lang ng liquid natin sa katawan ang mawala. Makakaramdam ka na ng pagkauhaw. So, yon. So, bakit nauuhaw ka? Why are we feeling thirsty sometimes? Kasi our body is telling us na our body fluid is somehow missing na. That is why, or there is a lack of a certain level of body fluid. That is why it is telling us, or our body is telling us to consume water na, or liquid. Next is heredity, which is number 5. When we say heredity, this is the passing of traits from parents to offspring. So, paano na ipapasa ng parents yung genetic traits nila? Nabanggit na siya kanina, through reproduction. And we can inherit the genes of our parents. So, example niyan is our skin color. Diba? Mapusyaw yung parent mo, don't expect you to be dark-colored skin unless meron kang recessive traits. When I say recessive traits, babanggitin natin siya sa heredity. Yan yung mga traits na namana ng parent natin from the parent of the parent of the parent of their parent, and then, or ancestor, and then natago siya ng matagal. Okay, kaya minsan, ang nangyayari is may mga kakaibang traits na lumalabas sa family. So, that is dominant and recessive traits. Okay? So, yon. Kailangan ng reproduction to continue the passing of genetic traits from parents to offspring. Next is our evolution. When we say evolution, this is the change of species over time. Meaning those characteristics of organism from time to time are changing depending on their environment. Example, one species that is genetically similar organism can produce fertile organism that can produce a subspecies or a new species over time. Example of that is in Taal Lake. There is a tawilis. Ang tawilis ay kalahi ata yan ng tamban, if you know what is tamban. So, ang nangyari during the time na nagkaroon ng geologic changes in Taal Lake, nasaraduhan yung lake. And then, yung dating tamban, which is a sea or a saltwater fish, ang nangyari is naitago sila doon sa Taal Lake, and it became a tawilis who is a kalahi of tamban that is living in a fresh water. Okay? Nagkaroon sila ng adaptation. And because of that, nag-evolve sila over time. And of course, natural selection is the survival of the fittest. Bakit tayo nagkakaroon ng online class ngayon? Kasi kung hindi tayo magkakaroon ng survival of the fittest, may iwanan tayo ng ating mga counterpart. Ayaw na ninyo mag-aral, pero kung hindi na ninyo itutuloy, you will miss 1 year. So, they are fittest and you failed to survive if you failed to join this kind of trend. And then the last characteristic of life is interdependence. When we say interdependence, we are connected from one another. We need to interact from one another. So, hindi pwedeng mabuhay tayo as solo, na ikaw lang ang nakatira sa isang lugar, walang ibang organism na available because we need to interact with other organism. And later on, we will study about ecology, which is the study of interaction of the living organism with one another and their environment. An example of that is the food chain and then the food web. Okay, so I will be posting the set of activity for you to work out or to work on in our group chat and in our Google Classroom. Thank you so much for your attention.